Good day and welcome to the Womxn Show. I'm Lenina Rassool and today we are speaking about women in tech. Now, if you regularly tune in, you'll notice that I'm not in my usual spot in the studio, and this is because I've been placed in quarantine by my doctor. Shout out to Dr. Papir due to COVID-19 exposure. But I am still here and the show must go on. And today we're going to have an interesting discussion about women entering what is generally a male dominated sector. After the break, we're going to be speaking to two amazing women in the tech sector who have started their companies, and they're going to be chatting to us about entrepreneurship, about the challenges that women face in a male-dominated sector, and how they have handled that. But before we do that, we are going to have a look at a short video about why it's important to have more women in tech and what unique perspectives, opinions, and contributions they bring to the sector. Let's have a look.
Why do men dominate the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math? While the root of this issue begins with how girls are parented and the opportunities to which they're exposed at home, the problems continue in classrooms, school activities, and even in the workplace where they earn their livings. We know that students often become exposed to computer sciences outside of the classroom, but while girls are avid users of technology at this age, they're less likely to participate in these activities. Once they become teenagers, girls use computers and the internet at rates similar to boys, but they're 5 times less likely to consider a technology-related career. To make matters worse, few countries make computer science part of the curriculum. At the university level, women make up less than a quarter of undergraduate computer science and information science degrees. And in the US workforce, only 26% of computing occupations are held by women. Sadly, after they work so hard to acquire these jobs, half of these women end up abandoning their training and working outside their field. The reasons for this leaky pipeline include unsupportive work environments, a lack of role models, and sacrifices in their personal lives. Women can really play a key role in reducing poverty for themselves, for their families, and their countries when given career opportunities. Closing the gender employment gap not only empowers women, but it's good for economic growth and the social development of both men and women. So how do we change the way society prepares young women for careers in technology? It really does begin with how we raise the girls and how we teach them. And it continues with how they're treated in the workplace. We must end the digital gender divide, and we must strive for gender equality to empower young girls in the classroom and young women in the workplace. Give them the freedom to become whatever they desire, whatever they love.
That was a short video about why it's important to have women in the technology sector. We are going to take a short break, but we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. You are still watching the Womxn Show, and we are speaking about women in tech. In technology. And joining me now is Glynne Mashonga, who is the CEO of Globescope Security Solutions, and she's been an entrepreneur for about 10 years now. And let's just make clear that the security sector is a very male-dominated sector. Glynne, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
And we're so excited to have you and to have this conversation. So, Glynne, I'm going to start by asking you for a bit of profile information. You are in the security sector. What do you do and how did you get into security?
Yes, so I have worked at a security installation company for more than 14 years. And in that company, I could not move up from management to be able to become a director or buy shares in the company. And I then decided I'm going to start my own business. At first, it was a bit daunting because knowing you get a fixed salary each month, you get leave, you get all of these things. Um, are you going to take that risk? But luckily, I was married to a wonderful husband that said, "You go for it, I'll support you." So when you even have that, it is much easier to start. Then I started the business, and as I was starting it, I needed to find at least one technician. I got my first job, and I then took this technician on. He did one job for me, and he left me. I knew everything of the administration side of the business, and he then decided, no, he's going to leave. Then I told myself, okay, what is your next step? You need to be able to do the installations and do the tech work, because if someone drop you, you need to know how to do it, and it's going to teach you how to sell the product better if you have that technology, the technical knowledge of it. So when he got deployed, I went everywhere with him. Installations of gate motors, access control, all of those things. And I am now a senior qualified technician. I sell my product better. I sound much better in the boardroom because I know what I'm talking about. I don't have someone else that I have to ask for technical support. And that made a huge difference in me starting this business. The only big problem was that you need to have your administration side also running smoothly once your technical side is running smoothly. So that was I had a big gap there. So what happened was I then employed someone, put some systems in place, and then things started running smooth, much more smoother. So yeah, so look, it's a start. Sometimes we can't get started. We think too much, like, what must I still do? I need a logo, I need all of this. No, just start. Because by starting, you turning you're turning the clock, and also you getting revenue in that you didn't have. And in that
Mm.
way, you can upgrade to the logo, to the X, to the whatever you need. Yeah. So yes, I'm running about 10 years now. Had one baby almost in the roof, by climbing in the roof, 9 months pregnant, coming out, having having a seizure 3 days later, putting telephone plugs in Maitland, in Cape Town. So it is just do it. We can do anything
Yeah.
humanly possible. That's what I believe.
Glynne, that's such a great story. I love 9 months pregnant and climbing into the roof. You are brave. I want to
Yeah.
ask, what's very interesting for me is that
Mm.
you usually we would see so some of the research that came out of entrepreneurship is usually we will see somebody is good at something. So let's
Yes.
say it would be a technician who has the technical skill who would start the business but would
Yes.
struggle because it struggles with the administrative side. And I
Yeah.
think I always remember
Yeah.
there was a statistic not so long ago that a very large percentage of businesses fail because of the admin, because they struggle to manage the admin.
Yes.
And so it sounds like
Yes.
with you though, having spent 14 years in the tech sector, you were not working on the tech itself, you were working then on the admin
No.
side and went in
Yes.
and learned the tech later. So that's quite interesting. And can you tell me, having that knowledge of I think the administrative side of things, did that help you do you think that that gave you an extra edge?
Yes, it did. Because when you're a small business, you can't afford to employ someone with with experience, with a lot of experience in administration, because that is high salaries, like 15,000 up, to get someone that can run your office for you. So I could take interns and train them with my knowledge I had. So I could hand over things that I've learned, bookkeeping, on Word, doing proper emails, professional emails to your clients, so that they can actually think you this big business and you're actually not, you know. I can make an example. Our first office was from Mitchell's Plain Woodlands. We had a separate entrance, that's where I started. And that phone number was 371 021 371. So when we get work in Constantia or wherever, and we phone, the people is thinking, oh my word, where are they coming from?
Mm.
I'm not going to say anything further. Then I had to work very hard to explain to them that we are good at what we do. We come from Mitchell's Plain, but we can do what we say we can do. So it was always like a battle in, um, you know, explaining to them and making them feel confident to work with us. So I had to change our number to a Mexico number, 086 number, just so that they don't judge us before we get there, you know. So we had that struggle as well. So yeah, it is very good for me. It was a good thing that I didn't know the technical side first, because the admin side, I was like the boffin in it, and I could, you know, put everything in place. We ISO certified 9001 now. So I'm very driven on that part of the business, because if that's
Mm.
in place, and for instance, we work on our sales for December, already September, so that we don't fight for sales in December and in January. So we work very, very hard to get that sales in, so that we don't suffer in December and January when it's, you know, the quiet time. So it's all these learnings that I've learned from the innovator, the programs that I was on, that it showed you all the little things. I wouldn't have known, hey, you're supposed to be working for December and January so early on. You know what I mean? What we do, we work from day to day, and it's not supposed to be there. You have to have a plan. And with that plan, you can action the plan and you can be ready if things happen. So I can make a small example. When COVID struck, I drove to the office at 12 o'clock. I woke my husband. I said, I can't sleep. Please, can I go? The president just spoke the night before. I need to figure out what I'm going to do. I got to the office and I started thinking, what can I do? Our suppliers are going to close down. The stock can't get into the country for us. So we're getting work, but we can't execute. We don't have stock. And then I thought, okay, there's companies that does security installations and security guarding, and they've got a cleaning portion of things. And I started making sanitizer stands, selling sanitizer, mask and things. I won a 3-year contract for that. That just turned everything around. Cash flow
Mm.
wise, it helped me. My staff wasn't laid off. So when you're an entrepreneur, you have to think out of the box. If you're just going to be one set and one set minded, and you're going to say to yourself, this is what I do and this is what I want to do, no. You have to fight for those families you're employing. And I thought, Glynne, you're going to do something different. Now I'm someone, I need to know what I do. I need to know what I'm selling, and I need to have confidence in it. So I had to go and learn. 75%
Yeah.
alcohol, ethanol is in there. Like, and I can tell you, it is the best thing I could have ever done, because I've put another leg on my business. So I'm
Mm.
even standing much more solid than what I stood
So even,
previously.
yes, so even post lockdown, the business has grown,
Yes,
because there's another leg that's tagged onto it.
yes,
Glynne, you say
yes,
such important things about entrepreneurship, such important things about, I think, the story that you told about demographics in terms of where you are working from or coming from being a
yes,
challenge. It's such an
yes,
important
yes.
thing that I think we need to unpack in a different show, because today we talk about women in tech. So before we go, and the time's almost up, is to ask, what are the challenges that you experience though as a woman working in a male dominated sector?
Look, the industry I'm in, it's insecurity. So the risk is always a big deal when you're trying to sell security. So they always look at you as a risk as a company. So when we grew up, we always knew that males were the ones to protect and give security, right? So everybody you're selling to, they're looking forward to a guy walking in because I mean he's going to protect us. He knows everything of securing his family and all of that. But women even know it even better. You know, we look at things different. We see the world differently. You know, so that was a very big challenge for me in always trying to say, hey, I will secure your place. I will do the right risk analysis. I will make sure that everything is 100%. So it is really much harder for a woman. But those barriers are being knocked down. I mean, with the new government policies that came out for gender equality and the BE the new policies they've put in, they are looking at women, and more blue chip companies is looking at us now because of those new policies they've put in place. You know, so look, it's there is change, but there must be more women in higher positions in order to open more doors for us to come in. So that's why I have to make a success in what I do, because I need to open up for more women to come, more young women to see you come from an underprivileged background. It doesn't define you. You can do it.
I love that. And you know, one of the things that I say now often, and I think you spoke to that when you were in the company before, you said you were never going to make, I think, manager or director or be
Yeah,
able to buy shares. And one
yeah,
of the things that I believe we need to do for real inclusive change is for women to start their own companies and be able to make the
yes,
decisions about
yes,
who they hire and so forth. And it's exactly what you're saying. So, Glynne, I need to ask you about, you know, I before we had this interview, I watched one of your videos that you did previously, and just from the tech or really technical side, you told a story about going to do an installation, and a male client said something to you. So, can you just tell us that story?
yes. So I went to go and install an alarm system, but I had some guys with me and they were busy in the roof, but I was busy with the panel. So the whole day the wife was with us, and then the husband walked past, but he saw my ponytail and he walked back. And he said, sorry, a woman installing my alarm. Is it going to work tonight? So I said to him, yes, it will work. And, you know, he was so impressed. He was so intrigued. Um, if more women can do more tech things, people won't like look back and say, oh my word, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So for me, I'm hoping that I can do that with our internship program with more women coming in, because we running an internship program for women to sign up and learn more on the technical side of things. So if they want to, they can contact Globescope and see if they can get onto the program, so that we can have more of these women installing stuff, doing tech. Just take yourself out, you know,
Yes.
because we can do it.
I know, and it's that feeling. I mean, I love it when um I think I said to you when we were on the phone, when I had to sort of call in technicians for electricity issues or so, and just finding a woman. And it's wonderful,
Yeah.
and I always say that, and I feel so happy. But I get what you're saying. It's getting us to a place where it is normalized, where we're
Yes.
not even excessively happy about it because it's so rare
Yes.
that it just
Yes.
is, and that we just have, basic equality is that any people can just do whatever they want to do, regardless of sector. Glynne, we have
Yes.
2 minutes left, and so I want
Yes.
to ask you for some final words to women who are looking at getting into a male-dominated sector. Often there is talk in general of imposter syndrome, especially with women in leadership. They're
Yeah.
afraid, they're not sure that they can do it. You are someone who stepped into that role. Do you have, 2 minutes, last words?
Yeah. So 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 look, it's not an easy road, but it's very easy with programs like the Innovator Trust that I was on, and I'm still alumni. They help you with your financial bookkeeping. They help you with administration, mentors. They give you guidance on like like when you have a sister and you can phone your sister and your sister will give you that little bit of advice that you didn't know. Must I turn left or right? They like that. So you're never alone, because I found that it's a very lonely road being an entrepreneur, because it's not a lot of people that understand what you're doing. Because I mean, are you crazy? Are you sure you're going to get paid the end of the month? But I'm telling you, the rewards is, when I look at my staff and I see what I've done for their families, just having this business, it makes my heart so happy. It's an achievement that you can't explain. So I'm saying to you, find a sister or a brother like the Innovator Trust, join these programs, let them help you, let them guide you, be open for change. If they say your idea is not that great, but you need to make that, do it. They've gone through it and they can teach you the formula that's needed to make a company a success. If I could say that in COVID, I would have thought my turnover would have gone down. It increased 3%, 3 times more than what it was before. So if I could do that, if I didn't have them with me and the knowledge they've given me over the years, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I might have just said, what am I going to do? I have to lace people off. So don't procrastinate. Start something, start small, just do it. Use people like us. Phone us if you need help. Phone us, let us help you and say, do this or do X or Z. Yeah, that's all I can say. Just start. Just start.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you, Glynne, for coming onto the show and for sharing your insights with you. It was a
Pleasure.
wonderful conversation. So we
Thank
are going to
you.
take a short
Thanks for
break.
having.
It is a pleasure. It has been such a pleasure. We are going to take a short break, but we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. You're still watching the Womxn Show, and we are speaking about women in tech. And with us now in studio is Jenny Classen, who is the founder and director of Ngaphaya Y2K10, which is in the ICT and healthcare sector. Jenny, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the Womxn Show.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
So, Jenny, we are speaking about women in tech. You are a woman in tech. So, to start us off, can you give us a rundown of when you started and what your company does?
Okay, so thank you. We started in 2008, and you're not going to believe this, but we started in the tools and equipment sector. And through the years, we just evolved and evolved. And for the past 4 years, we've been in the ICT and medical industry. So we're a supplier within ICT and medical.
Okay, so as a supplier, and I'm asking this purely for my own knowledge, I always sort of get stuck there. So what is the logistics around being a supplier of, whether it's tools or equipment or medical equipment?
Okay, so basically, what we do is we work with government mainly. So 95% of the business is with government. We'll tender for work. What we'll do is we have certain distribution rights for certain products. We sort of become the South African supplier, which makes it a lot easier than trying to hustle and trying to find product which you don't know anything about. So that's kind of what we've done, is to make sure that we can differentiate ourselves from the others within the market, and we represent certain brands. And right now we're busy looking at a medical product which we want to start a manufacturing plant. So,
wow.
Yeah, so we kind of keep on thinking and saying, what next? Where do we go from here?
And so one of the things that comes up when we speak about women in tech, and we know that the statistics have shown that there are very few female, let's say, leaders and entrepreneurs yet in tech, if we look at the comparison to male-owned tech companies or directors of directors of tech companies. And so I think I want to ask, just from your perspective and having been there and obviously networking with a lot of people, women and men who work in the tech sector, what is your take on why there are less women in tech so far, and what are some of the challenges for women who want to enter tech?
You know, I believe that the challenges are actually generic. It's not just about women in tech, it is about women. It's still male dominated. They still want to do deals on the golf course. They still have their boys club. And it is about not respecting women and what we bring to the party. You know, sometimes I think you're just like either pretty face or you use this, but it's not. We've got enough savvy. We can do it. But I do believe that there's still too much disrespect.
Mm. I mean, that's a very interesting point. And so that points to, it's not the sector's fault. It's not technical systemic barriers, but rather it is social or socialized barriers against women entering this industry. And before the break, we were chatting to a woman who's in the security sector, and she spoke about males, male clients, or some client, not even just male clients questioning whether a woman would be able to adequately install a security system, but also that people generally associate male security with men. Men are the protectors of the family, and so it's a socialization that we grow up with. And do you find that comes up, that has come up? Because, I mean, you started, I might be wrong, was it around 2001 or 2011? 2008.
Yeah.
Yes, and we've made strides since then, but especially like back then, those socializations were still very strong. And so did you find that was sort of a hindrance to you when you went out and tried to market yourself in being able to do this as a woman?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think back to one major meeting I had, and it was a tender briefing, and there were 4 males, and I was the only female in the room. And on top of it, not that I want to do this, but on top of it, it was white males. So we had that racial thing as well. And the attitude, the looks, the comments, it was really hard, but I stood my ground. But you know what? I know it was it's a male-dominated product, tools, but my dad was a craftsman. So I knew tools. So when I was in that meeting, I knew what I was talking about. And that for me is what I try and do. Right now, even in the ICT sector, we've developed a chatbot. What did I know about it? Nothing really. But I went out there. I went and upskilled myself. I went to go and look, so that you got to be knowledgeable. You got to understand what is going on. And I think that is critical for women, because the men use other people to deliver what they want. We've got to do and deliver everything ourselves. So we've got to know what we've got to do. So we've got to know what we're doing.
You know what I always find fascinating? I did an article once about 2 men who started a beauty sector franchise. And it was interesting because, and I'm not saying this is the case for everyone, obviously, but I was just thinking, in this business magazine, it spoke about them having no knowledge whatsoever of pedicures and facials and so forth, but they had the capital and they saw the need in the sector. And what they did was they went to hire a whole string of sort of beauty consultants, and it blew up, blew up as a franchise. And it really just showed me that anyone can really do anything. But I want to come back to what you're saying, because you raised an important point. So you're speaking about, in this meeting, you are being spoken down to or spoken about, maybe in broad terms or in personal terms. I actually very recently had and I also mentioned sort of the days, because that was interesting to me. You know, a white female lawyer who was the head of a project, and she was reporting to the client, and he kept speaking to the male consultant instead of her, even though that male consultant is someone she hired and who reports to her and didn't have the context to answer all of those questions. And she came back afterwards and she said she just felt so, I call it traumatized, you know, because you are demeaned and dismissed. And so, and it's purely based on the fact that you're a woman, right? And that someone believes that you can't. So I want to speak to you about that space, if I may, just open the conversation of holding your ground, because one of the conversations I have with women largely is about imposter syndrome. So we've got imposter syndrome in general. We're already worried that we can't do this. I think representation or interviews with women like you who have done it, are doing it. There's not enough mentors. We know that. But when you find yourself in that space, what does it take to stand your ground?
For me, because you know what you're talking about. You know, they can't bullshit you. They can't bullshit you because you know exactly, sorry, excuse my language, you know what you're talking about. I think the thing that worries me more is within the female sector and us as women, we still have too many PhDs, push her down syndrome. And it ties in with what you're saying in terms of there's some people that are just almost window dressing. And, you know, so there are still women that are part of the window dressing. And that's when the PhD comes in. And it's something I really work hard at, to try and tell women, be yourself, do what is right, have integrity, be truthful to yourself, because money doesn't do it all. You know, when you sow seeds of kindness, because then you're going to pay it forward and you're going to be able to teach others. And you're not going to teach with your words. You're going to teach with your actions. And to me, that is critical. You know, in the male world, they teach with words. I don't know how many males walk the talk. And for me, it's critical that as women, we've got to stand down there, stand up. I mean, one of my mentors now is Tuli Madansela. It is just, she's a phenomenal woman. She does so much, but she is so down to earth. She's calm. I've learned so much from her to date.
I can just imagine. She is one of my idols as well. Sometimes I go spaces when I'm struggling, and I take the book No Longer Whispering to Power with me. You know, Jenny, you're raising an important point. It's so interesting for me because I speak to a lot of women who I speak to, bring up the issue of what did you call it? The PhD push her down syndrome. So this comes up a lot. And I think what is interesting for me is that it's almost as if we expect to be pushed down. We expect the pushback from men. But it's very hurtful when the pushback comes from another woman, because we are all fighting the same fight. And ultimately, I think we are going to not win, but we are going to progress by working together instead of competing. But we also know, I mean, I've made concessions where I say, you know, the competition is also born out of exclusion. So there's so few positions available, I think that not that it justifies it. But I just wanted to say that because it was a very interesting point for you to raise, and I think that it comes up every single time. So Jenny, we don't have a lot of time left, but I want to ask you then, you know, as someone who works in a male-dominated sector that made the decision to go into this, and you spoke very much about like knowing your stuff, and one of the ways through imposter syndrome and to enable you to stand your ground is by ensuring that your knowledge base is strong. And I love that you also said your father was a craftsman, so your knowledge of tools was personal and direct, because that's also how we think about it. You know, everybody should be equal in terms of following what they need to follow, regardless of what that is, right? So we take away the gender stereotype. What is your advice for women who really are passionate about a sector or a topic or a product, but are really just afraid of going into it because there aren't many women there? You went into a sector where there aren't many women. What is your advice for newbies who want to launch but are afraid to do that?
Okay, so I'm going to start off with my advice to everyone is pray. Pray about what you want to do. Once you've prayed, you've put your trust in there. Then I say, go ahead, trust yourself, believe in yourself. I always, and I see the closest people to you hurt you the most because they don't believe in you. They don't share your dream, but keep on with your dream. Go and look for someone that's going to help you, elevate you. There is enough people that can elevate you. Upskill yourself. You know, if I know nothing, for example, I mean, I don't know how to bake, but I go to YouTube and there's enough information. So if you need something like emotional intelligence, type the word in, you'll get enough material on YouTube. And within an hour or something, you would have learned something. And that goes with what I'm saying is, there's a saying that says, knowledge is power. I say applied knowledge is powerful. So go out there, go and grab those free courses. Corporate South Africa has got so many free courses. They've got enterprise development programs, supplier development programs, and you don't pay a cent for it. All you have to do is get up, dress up, and show up. And go and do it.
Yes, I like that. Glynne was also saying before, you know, one of the main things is to just start. And even if you're starting small, just start and the clock will start running and you'll start making some revenue that you didn't have before. So I thought that was really interesting. And start while you are learning, because many people try to wait until they know everything. So then they can start. I also want to ask Jenny about investment and funding, I think, because funding, so often when we speak to young people, we speak about people who want to be entrepreneurs, they think that they need the funding first. And in some instances, you do need capital first, especially if you need to buy products in order to sell, as a very basic example, or services, you know, you need a space and electricity. But we have heard that there is, you know, there is more investment in women, but the global narrative is that there is not enough. What is your take on, in terms of investment and funding, especially in a sector where there aren't very many women?
Okay, so my take is, I had the same thing. I don't have money, I can't do this. I don't have the funding, I can't do this. And I was at a meeting and one of the women were talking and she spoke about funding and she flipped the whole thing on its head and she said, get the work, get the contract, and funding will follow you. So it's easier to go to a funder with something concrete in your hands than to go almost in a begging nature. Please, sir, can you help me? If you go to the bank, please, sir, can you help me? They're not going to help you. So I've changed my mindset, and I must tell you, it has worked for me. It has worked for me where I've gone out there, I've not been afraid. I used to be afraid of trying to get a 2 or 3 year contract because I think, what am I going to do? I got the contract and I went to look for funding, and I have been successfully funded by a local company. And it is again about mindset. It's about getting it there. And I want to go back to what you said, that Glynne said. Yes, just start, because you're going to evolve. You are going to evolve. If you're not going to evolve, you are going to just start and stop and finish. So yeah, so that's how I feel.
Thank you. I also want to ask about sort of support and mentoring. So one of the things, I was looking at, we connected through the Innovators Trust, who is an organization that supports entrepreneurs and especially as driving for sort of more representation, more female representation in the sector. But I wanted to ask about support. What was interesting for me when I looked at their website was there wasn't a huge emphasis. I mean, they do offer financial support, but the larger narrative was about offering mentoring support. And so looking at the other things, and you yourself have spoken about mentoring. So I wanted to ask, what are some of the, when you first meet people, what are some of the things, if we put the funding aside, do you find that people need that they may, and I'm asking because they may not even be aware of the type of mentoring or support that they need outside of funding. Often funding becomes sort of this middle, point that you need to reach only. But what is some of the support that you have found people need and that you have been able to give during your mentoring?
Okay, so absolutely. There's a lot of admin type of support. People say, I want to start a business. Then they say, oh, this guy's charging me 3,000 Rand. So, you don't have to pay that. So you can teach them how to register a business, how to get your documents in order. And the minute you've got that, you immediately you can feel, right, I'm going somewhere. So it's the little things that people don't know. I've seen it. Somebody phoned me about 3 weeks ago and says, Jenny, I've got this client, but I need to go out and I've got to find some more work. And then I asked a few basic questions about, is your business registered? Do you have a tax clearance? Do you have a B certificate? And it was no, no, no. And so I said, okay, right, let's start this process. This is what you do. Step 1, 2, and 3. And it's a process. So by the time we finish, she's going to have a registered business. She's going to be able to go and have access to other markets and kind of just open your mind to that. That's the one thing. The second thing is, I think a lot of people, including myself, when you start off, you fall down on the financial aspect. You forget that when I take 4 taxis, that it's part of my cost. And it sounds small, but it's the truth. And I think that, and so for me, you don't have to be an accountant, but you've got to understand. And that's why all these courses that says finance for non-financial managers, they're brilliant. Every time you go to one of those courses, you learn something different because it's a different presenter. And for me, I think that is what we need to do. It's like building a house. Get that foundation sturdy. And when the foundation's sturdy, you build room. And in a year's time, you make it into a double story because foundation is sturdy. So so the foundation in business is get your admin right. There's obviously a whole lot of other things, but make sure you know what it's about. You don't have to have full knowledge. You don't have to have full knowledge, but you've got to have the understanding.
Yes, I love that. I mean, thank you, Jenny. I know I mentioned earlier also, there's a statistic I always remember that a large percentage of businesses fail due to, people not knowing those admin processes. We are out of time, unfortunately, but I want to thank you so much for bringing your insights and your knowledge and your time here to the Womxn Show. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having me, and have a blessed festive season with your family.
Thank you. We are going to take a short break, but we will be back with more after this. Welcome back. You are still watching The Womxn Show, and we've had a really interesting conversation about women in tech, looking at the challenges that women face, how they've handled them, and also tips and tricks for entrepreneurs who are looking at starting their own businesses. Now we are almost at the end of our hour together, but before we go, we are going to have a look at a short video by organizations who are helping to get women and girls into the technology sector. Let's have a look.
My name is Zandile. I am the co-founder of Gold Code. This is the third annual Gold Code Hackathon, and this year we've tried to make it even bigger and better than the other years. As you'll see, there's like nice branded goodie bags for you girls. I would like to thank, of course, Josie Hub for providing the venue for us. I would like to start by saying welcome to everyone. Today is about learning, building innovative solutions, and ultimately and most importantly, socializing and meeting other women who are in this industry. I believe that this year's hackathon's theme, which is Women Go Digital, is befitting as it is the 60th anniversary of the Women's Charter. Just like those women in 1954 who marched for their rights, we too, as well as the next generation of women, must stand up for our rights. I believe that technology gives us a platform to enable us as women to be able to provide for our families, to be able to provide for ourselves, to be able to come up with innovative solutions that will ultimately change the world. We are here for the third annual Gold Code Hackathon. What happens is that we've got girls from various universities and even girls who are not particularly studying IT who will be developing web and app applications based on our theme, which is Women Go Digital.
What we're trying to achieve with this event is that we want to create awareness that there is a lack of females in the ICT industry. We want companies to be aware that there isn't diversity. There's no women, there's no black women. So we're trying to create awareness to show the industry that actually there are women out there that they can hire. We
have found that a lot of girls study IT but then end up leaving it when they get to the job market because they feel intimidated. It seems like it's a male-dominated industry. So the initiative is just to get them to be confident about their skills and get companies as well to see that there are really good female developers out there.
Some of the females that do, unfortunately, they don't have the appropriate skill. And enough, I guess, coding/programming experience to be able to be a part of that. So I definitely think that there needs to be more that's done in the space, especially, with the basic fundamentals of programming.
The importance of having females in the tech industry is, for us, the main reason would be women empowerment, as well as to close the gap between the amount of males in the tech industry versus the amount of females in the tech industry. We currently have in the pipeline a basic computer literacy program, of which we will be running on a fortnightly basis. We aim to equip underprivileged females in the townships with basic computer literacy skills to help get them employment.
We need to create solutions that you create at a hackathon and then they get deployed into the environment, into the community, so that other people can benefit from it.
We're sponsoring this event in particular because there's a real skills shortage in the IT industry in South Africa. I think any initiative that helps spread awareness, gets young people excited about working in IT is really important. I think there's a skills shortage largely because a large percentage of our population has never had access to computers, so a lot of people don't know what the industry is about. In particular, Gold Code is obviously looking at transformation from getting more women involved in the industry and supporting them.
Breakout Foundation is sponsoring this event because we really believe in empowering girls and women to be able to code and to change the lives of other girls and women in the world. Diversity within our team is really important because we believe that diverse teams create better solutions.
We're focusing on the gender violence for women. We're trying to create an app where a woman can request a guardian to come and assist them or help them if they're in an emergency situation.
We're busy with women health issues, specifically sex issues, from female condoms, safe sex, to contraceptives, to having a discussion about female infections, that some of the things you are contagious, you get them from the bathrooms. So we're providing more information about that.
We're developing a mobile application whereby we're going to try find sponsors and link them to schools in the rural areas so that girls have access to pads. So sponsors will sponsor then pads to different schools, and then girls can just go there to collect them, because a lot of girls end up missing school because they don't have access to sanitary pads or anything like that.
I want to thank our wonderful sponsors, Standard Bank, Josie Hub, Intellect and Paycelt, who believe in the vision that is Gold Code, and ultimately the idea that women through technology can revolutionize the world.
And that is all we have for today. I hope that you are feeling inspired. And in the words of one of our guests, Glynne Mashonga, if you want to start a business, the first step is to just start. That brings us to the end of our show. I'm Lenina Rassool. Goodbye.